Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker from My Favorite Things. I have a rainbow birthday card to share with you today, and just so you all know, I am getting over a cold right now, so if my voice sounds a little bit off at any point, that's why. This month's release was so perfect for me because I love everything rainbows and unicorns. And as soon as I saw this background die, my mind immediately went to all of the rainbow possibilities. Now, instead of cutting this die out of 7 different colors of cardstock, I thought I'd make it a little bit easier on myself and just cut it out of some white cardstock and then color each of the pieces with Distress Oxide ink. Now, at first, I chose the colors Spun Sugar, Abandoned Coral, Wild Honey, Squeezed Lemonade, Twisted Citron, Tumbled Glass, and Mermaid Lagoon. But once I had all of those colors blended, I realized that the spun sugar and the tumbled glass pieces didn't really fit in with the rest of the colors just because they were so light in comparison. So I decided to darken up those two with some different colors, and I instead used Festive Berries and Lucky Clover. And I just blended those colors right on top of the other ones. I didn't have to cut out new pieces. Luckily, because the colors were so light and Distress Oxide ink is nice and opaque, I could just go right over the old colors. To put these pieces all together, I grabbed a panel of paper which is cut to be just slightly smaller than the background die, and I added adhesive all over that panel, and then all I had to do was place each of the pieces. I'm really sorry if I keep breathing into the microphone. I'm realizing right now how sick I still am because this voiceover is a little bit difficult to get through, but I really wanted to share this card with you guys, so I hope you love it. Anyways, so I mentioned before that this release was perfect for me because of rainbows and unicorns. So I already showed you the rainbow portion, and here is the unicorn portion. I picked out these stamps from the Friendly Unicorn stamp set, and I stamped them with my Misty tool using some Copic Friendly black ink onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock. I kept the coloring for this extremely simple. This is easy mode Copic coloring. I used one color for each thing. I didn't do any blending except for on the green section of the hair. And the only reason that I blended there was because after I colored it in, I realized I wanted it to be just a touch darker, so I blended a slightly darker green color over the top of it. Once the coloring was done, I grabbed the coordinating dies. It was a little bit hard to line up those really tiny cloud dies, but I managed to, and I definitely wanted to tape them down with some Post-it tape so that they didn't move when I cut them. Alright, for my sentiment, I pulled out a piece of vellum and I stamped my sentiment on that with Versamark ink, and then I embossed it with white embossing powder. Now, the sentiments in the Friendly Unicorn stamp set are all really fun, but they are really focused on friendship cards, and I really wanted this card to be a birthday card for my niece. So I looked through all of my other unicorn stamp sets. I do have quite a few, and I picked a birthday sentiment, which is from the Rainbows and Unicorns stamp set, which is an older set from My Favorite Things, and it says, "Wishing you a sweet, fun, and sparkly birthday." I cut that sentiment down into a strip and I folded the edges in so that it would wrap around my panel so that I could add the glue to the little flaps on the sides and hide my adhesive. I like to use a bone folder when I do this because I find that it makes it easier to fold that vellum. I added a strong double-sided adhesive to both of those flaps and then I adhered it to the panel. So when you measure this background die, it is 4 by 5 1/4, which means when you place it on an A2 size card, you're going to have a tiny border around the edge. First, I grabbed a panel of navy cardstock, which is 4.5 by 5 3/4, and I adhered my panel onto that. Next, I created a white card base, which is 5 by 6 1/4, and I adhered the entire thing onto that. Now, like I said, this is a non-traditional card size, but I did intentionally make one of the sides 5 inches, and that's because when I send this card, I can send it in a 5 by 7 envelope that I modify. I grabbed the unicorn and the 3 little clouds that I cut out earlier, and I adhered them down onto the card using some liquid adhesive. I then grabbed a white gel pen and I added some dashed lines around the border of the rainbow panel. I always think that these dashed lines kind of make it look a little bit more whimsical, and because this is a rainbow unicorn card, I thought that it could use a little bit of whimsy. And of course, you gotta add some sparkly sequins, especially when your sentiment talks about sparkly stuff. So I added a bunch of sequins flowing across the card, kind of going from the bottom left-hand corner to the top right-hand corner so that your eye really kind of moves along that line. I also grabbed a glitter brush and I went over the hair on the unicorn and the 3 clouds. After that, this card is all done, and here you can kind of see that sparkle a little bit better. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design and that it gave you some inspiration. If you haven't checked out this month's release yet, be sure to go do that. There are some really awesome things. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.